Hello, welcome to StageSwift. In this video we're going to take a look at contacts. Now as you can see I'm on my home screen, so I could get to my contacts just by clicking on this contacts link here. Alternatively I can go up to the main menu and select contacts from there. So let's go ahead and take a look at contacts. So here we are on our contacts screen, and on the left hand side we have our list of contacts. Now for the purposes of this video I've got a very short list here. This list in reality could contain hundreds if not thousands of contacts, in which case it would scroll up and down. StageSwift has a concept of a person or an organisation when it comes to contacts. What you can see here is that the people have a little person icon next to them, and if it's an organisation, which sort of covers organisations, companies, places, these are things really that you deal with in your contacts, it has this little building icon next to it here. So we've got a couple of theatres and a travel lodge in here as in our contacts. The other thing to notice on the list is that if there's this little purple icon on the right hand side here, that just indicates that this contact actually has a login to the StageSwift system. Now when this list gets quite long, you'll find these filters really useful up here. What I can do is I can just show the people in my list or just the organisations in the list. You'll also notice that there's a categories option here. We'll come back to that after we've taken a look at the categories that you can assign to contacts to see how that works. And I'll just flick this back to all contacts, and there's everybody. You can also search for contacts just by starting to type in here. So if I just start to type, I've typed in Manch and I get two matches here, Manchester Theatre and Travel Lodge Manchester. What you'll notice is if the list is filtered, that means you're not looking at all your contacts. You see the background goes this slightly light yellow colour. That just shows you that you're not seeing all your contacts at this particular point in time. To get rid of the filter and everything you filtered, just click on the clear filters button here and everything goes back to the way it was. Next to that, you'll see this great big new contact button. This is how you create new contacts. If you click on this, you'll see that you've got a choice of creating an individual, that's a person, and you enter the title, first name and last name, or a company and organisation, just enter the company or organisation or place name in there. And that just gets you started, and you can then fill out the rest of the details on the main contact editor that you'll see in a moment. So let's take a look at the main contact editor. If I choose our first one in the list here, Abigail Worthing, you'll see you click on the list, it comes up in the right hand side, and this is where you can edit. Now there's not a lot being filled in yet, so we'll go through that and complete this contact record. So we've got the name at the top, and underneath there's a job title and some notes. To edit this information, you can click on this cog icon here and you get some actions. The first action is to edit. Second one is you can turn this person into a login to the system if you want to, or you can delete them. We're just going to edit for now to see what you can do there, and it's just the basic information, the title, the first name, last name, their profession, and you can add some notes if you want to. Next to that, we've got categories. Now, all contacts can be categorized. This helps you find them later and has a few other uses in StageSwift, which you'll see as you watch the subsequent videos to this one. You'll see how categories are used. So let's add some categories to Abigail here. So if I click on the pencil icon there, I'll get the category selector on the screen. And I know that Abigail's an actor and she's a singer, and she's also a sound engineer. So we've chosen some categories here. Now you'll see the categories are grouped. So we've got a group of categories under performers, and we've got a group of categories under technical crew there that we can choose from. The categories that you're presented with will only be categories that are relevant to the type of contact you're editing. So in this case, we're editing a person, so we're getting our person categories. These categories are entirely up to you. So on your StageSwift system, you may have a completely different set of categories to this. You can change these categories, add new ones, take them away, do whatever you like, and we'll see how to do that in a minute. So for now, let's just save these categories for Abigail. She's an actor, she's a singer, and she's a sound engineer. I'll save those, and there we are. We've now categorized Abigail Worthing. Moving down, we've got contact info. Contact information is all the other ways to contact this person, such as phone number, mobile number, email address, a website, social media addresses, that sort of thing. Anything you want really, and you can specify what these are, and we'll see that in a short while. So let's just add some info for Abigail just to see how that works. So if I click on new info, the first thing you see is a tick box at the top here which says primary. Tick this if you want to indicate that this is the main way of contacting that person by this method. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So I'll say primary. This is the primary email address for Abigail, and we're going to put her home email in here because she doesn't mind us having that, and it's abigail@email.com. and you can add some notes just to if you need to about that. You could also indicate that this is a private address. That would just mean you might need to exercise some caution, whatever that means to you. So we'll say this is private, and we'll save this one. So now you can see we've added an email address for Abigail. It's her home email. It's got this red lock icon next to it to say that it's a private email address. So you may want to, be cautious about how you use it. And it's also the primary one. It's the main one. That's probably a bit strange. You probably wouldn't have something marked as private and being the main point of contact. But anyway, that just shows you what's going on here. So Abigail now has an email address, and what I can do if I click on the cog icon next to that, I can edit it, so I can go back and change it if she ever changes her email address, or I can delete it and remove it if she's not got that address anymore. The other thing I can do now is I can say, well, we've got Abigail's home phone number, so we'll put her telephone number in here. And evenings only, let's say. So we know we can only use that number in the evening, and we'll say that's a private one as well. So we'll save that. Now we've got a phone number and an email address for Abigail, and you can just keep going. You can just keep adding more and more contact information, all the contact information that you've got, so you know how to get in touch with this person. Next down is connections. Now what StageSwift lets you do is you can create connections between different contacts. So you could say that a contact works for another contact. You could say a contact works with another contact. So if you've got a couple of freelancers who work well together, you could create a connection with them in here to say, this person works with this other person. Or if you've got somebody who works for an organization, you could say this person works for that organization. In this case, we know that Abigail works for the Queen Mother Theatre, and we can see we've already got that in our contacts list over here. So we'll go ahead and make a connection. So I'll just search for the Queen Mother Theatre. There it is. I'll select that and I'll confirm that selection. And the next thing I get is this screen here, which says what type of connection are we creating here. Abigail Worthing is just associated with the Queen Mother Theatre. Well, she might just be a loose association. Abigail Worthing is a member of or works for the Queen Mother Theatre. Well, that's the one we want, so we'll select that. And the last one is Queen Mother Theatre is a member of or works for Abigail Worthing. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all, maybe in this case. But as you can see, you can create these working for, member of, in two different directions. So if I was in the Queen Mother Theatre, I could have connected Abigail the other way around, and it would have shown Abigail is a member of or works for the Queen Mother Theatre down there. I can make a note and I can say she's part-time Monday to Wednesday or something like that, and I'll save that. And now we have a connection. We've got now we know that Abigail Worthing is a member of the Queen Mother Theatre, and she works part-time Monday to Wednesdays. And now I can add contact info here as well. Now this is sort of the same as this contact info, except that this is the contact info at the Queen Mother. So what I want to do is I'm going to add Abigail's, oops, that's the wrong one. I'm going to add Abigail's email address at the Queen Mother Theatre. So the way I do that is if I click on this edit cog here, I can add or edit the note for this connection now. I can add some contact info, or I can remove the connection, which I would do if Abigail leaves that job. So I'll add some contact information and I get this screen again. I can say it's the primary one, it's her work email, it's Abigail at the Queen Mother Theatre, gmail.com, and it's not private or anything. I'll save that. Now you can see that we've got Abigail Worthing. She's a member of the Queen Mother Theatre, and if I want to contact her there, I can use this email address here. I could go on, add as many as I like, and I keep clicking that button. Add the contact info, and I can say her work phone, and that's and now I've added a work phone number for her. And now I can edit these. If I wanted to change her work email, if it ever changes, I can select edit from using this cog icon, or if I want to remove that email address, if it ever changes, I can delete it or just simply change it. And finally on this screen, we've got addresses. These are postal addresses, the physical addresses for your contacts. And if I click on new address, I'll say this is Abigail's primary address. I'll say it's her home address, and I'll put the address in here. You don't have to fill out all of this, just the bits that we need, and postcode, and in the UK, and there we go. So now at the bottom here we have one address. You can add as many addresses as you like. Maybe Abigail lives in 2 places, and we want to add a second address for her. There's also extra info for addresses here. You may or may not need to use this, but it can be quite useful. And this lets you put a latitude and longitude in if you ever wanted to plot this on a map. There are the unique property reference number and unique street reference numbers used by the UK government if you ever need to record those, and also the what 3 words address if you happen to have that. And there we go. So now we've filled out some information about Abigail Worthing. Now, let's go back and look at the contact information. When I create a new contact information, I can select a type. And I've got all these different types here. But what happens if one's missing? Well, I want to add a new one. So what I've noticed is that I can't add a mobile phone number for Abigail. Oh, that's a bit of a pain. So what I need to do is I need to go over to the menu, and under contacts, you've got contact information types. If I select that, this is where we define all the different types that are available for our contacts. And there's a group, and this group tells the system what type of contact information we're going to we're using. And I want to add a new type now, so I'll call this mobile phone, or mobile, let's call it mobile number, shall we? And what group's it in? Well, it is a telephone number. This tells the system that that this is going to be some kind of telephone number. And I'll save that, and now it's gone in here. And if I go back to my contacts, and I go back to Abigail Worthing again, and I say I want to add some new info now, I can say mobile phone number. That's great. So I've got her mobile number, and I can put that in and save it. Now I've got Abigail's mobile number under here. As you can see, it's not got the purple heading. It's not a primary one. It's just another contact information. So I've got her home email, her home phone, and I've got her mobile number as well. Let's look at the categories. Now I know Abigail also plays the piano, which would be a useful thing for us to know about. So I want to choose a pianist from performers, and we don't have that. So what I need to go and do is add a new category. If I go back up here, I'll go to the contacts and go to the contact categories section. Now here we are with our contact categories. Now down the left hand side, we have groups of categories. And it's kind of the same as with the contacts. You can see that venues is a contact category for organisations. It has the organisation icon next to it. The same with press. That's got the organisation icon next to it. And then performers and technical crew. These categories relate to people. So if I click on performers, On the right hand side, I will get all the categories that are available in the performers group. I've got actor, singer, mime, artist, guitarist, flautist, percussionist, bass guitarist. And I want to add a new one under performers, and it's pianist. And we'll save that. We've now got a new category. As you can see, I can also filter this list up here, and I could create a new group if I want to as well. Now, I do know that in our contacts, we've got a hotel, but I have no hotel or accommodation categories in here at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new group, and I'm going to call it accommodation. Now I've got an accommodation group. There aren't any categories in it yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a category called hotel. And I'm going to create a category called bed and breakfast. That'll do for now. We could keep going here, obviously, Airbnb, etc. Now, what it's actually done automatically is I've created this group as both a people and organisation group. That could actually apply to both people and organisations, but if I just go to this group here, and I can edit the group from this using this pencil here, I can say actually this is just going to be a group for organisations. I forgot to do that earlier. So now it's just an organisations group, and I can see accommodation, its icon's changed, and I can only select these when I'm editing contacts who are organisations. So you have a choice here. When you create the group, you can choose what type of categories are in the group, what type of contact the group is for, either people or organisations, or both people and organisations groups. Let's go back to the contacts, and we'll go to Abigail because we want to add our new category of pianist. So here it is. I'll add pianist, save that. She's now a pianist. And if I go down here, I've got the Travel Lodge in Manchester, which has no categories. I couldn't put a category on that before because I didn't have the correct one. If I go in here now, I'll see a different set of categories. These are the ones that apply to organisations only. And it's a hotel. So I want the hotel category there, and I'll save that. Now the Travel Lodge in Manchester is set as a hotel. If I just click up the list for a minute, you'll see that Queen Mother Theatre is categorised as a theatre, Manchester Theatre is a theatre, and the Leeds Royal Theatre is categorised as a theatre as well. We have Jane Smith, who's an actor, Henry Stewart, who's an actor and a guitarist. There's me, I'm a stage manager and a stagehand, and Abigail Worthing, who's also an actor, and she's a singer, pianist, and sound engineer. The reason I'm showing you that is, let's take a look at filtering by categories. So if I click on categories here from our filter, I can select a category, and what this does is I can say, I actually only want to see actors. So let me select that. Now I've only got a list of actors. And you'll see that actor is now selected. I can go back to look at all my people if I want to. I can go back and look at all contacts if I want to, but it's actually saved that. I can now go back to my filter just for actors. And if I choose the category theatre and select that, now I've just got my theatres in the list. And as you can see, I can go and look at my actors, I can look at my theatres, and I can choose another category to filter by. So that's just kind of handy just to remember a few filters that you've created on categories, and you can click between them really easily. If you click here on the clear filters, everything goes back to the way it was originally. So if I clear the filters, I'm now back to having the whole list, and I've lost all my categories as well. So that's contacts, and I think that you'll find that's very useful.